You are listening to the Prosper Law Podcast. Learn how to reduce stress, have more time, and make more money. Come on in.
I'm Greg McCollum, and I built a 7-figure criminal defense law firm. I formed Prosper Law to show criminal defense law firm owners who are desperate for success how to grow from under $200,000 to $1 million and beyond. Hi, Greg McCollum here for another edition of the Prosper at Law podcast. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for listening. Or if you're watching, thanks for watching. When I decided to do the podcast, I'm a big fan of video marketing. We do a lot of video to promote our law firm. And if you look at everything out there, it's pretty obvious. And people have been saying for years that video is really where you need to go and where you need to be. And static images are good. Copy is still good. You know, the written word is significant, and that's a big part of marketing as well. But when I decided that, you know, I wanted to have a video version of this, and interestingly enough, you can watch podcasts on YouTube, and that was the only platform that I was aware of. But about the same time that I started doing this podcast, all of a sudden Spotify has a video version. You can watch it, and I've watched podcasts on Spotify. Generally, I never thought of podcasts as being video, but apparently a lot of people enjoy watching it. And if you are watching, good. I hope you like our set here. We put a lot of effort into this set, and I hope it's pleasing and visually pleasing. So today's topic is trust your work and keep your circle tight. Trust your work and keep your circle tight. And interestingly, I ran across this quote because I was reading about the Clemson University. I don't know if you're a college football fan. If you are, then you've heard of Clemson University and know their history, their recent history. Has been struggling for years. And I say struggling, they didn't win 10 games for the first time in like 10 or 15 years. And so that everybody said, what happened to them? Because they had operated at such a high standard. And so everybody is commenting, and Clemson went to play Georgia, the number one team in the nation, who had won as many national championships as games they lost. So they had the opening game was in Atlanta. I went to it. I was thinking, this is going to be good. I don't know if we're going to win the game, but we're going to be competitive. And this is the year where we're going to be back. And then what happened was Clemson got blown out. They scored 3 points. Georgia scored 34. They probably could have scored more. And so all hope is dashed. It was almost like the Dr. Pepper commercial where, you know, the first 5 minutes of the game, everybody's throwing things and saying the season's over. And I was doing that. I was thinking, oh crap, you know, nothing's changed. Everything's the same. So I was reading comments online on different sites, and it's interesting because most of the time when you read comments, what people say really it's not even helpful. And some of it's just criticism. Some people are saying, well, you should do this or you should do that. And everybody's a critic. And the last comment, and this is after the blowout loss, it's before they won big in the next game. The last comment said, the loudest boos come from the cheapest seats. People who invest the least in you will always have the most to say about you. Trust your work and keep your circle tight. Babe Ruth. And when I read that, I was just stunned. And so I copied it on my phone, and I thought, the people who invest the least in you will always have the most to say about you. The people who are in the cheapest seats, who don't contribute to the program, don't support the program, sitting up in the cheap seats, are the loudest boos, according to Babe Ruth. But what really struck me about this is he said, trust your work and keep your circle tight. So when you're doing something and it seems like you're wrong and everybody out there has an opinion about it and is critical of you, that presses down on you and it creates doubt. And if you're trying to do something like build a law firm, to try to make your criminal defense law firm function properly, where you have marketing that brings in cases on a regular basis, where you have a reliable and steady regular income that's coming in every week and every month and every year, and it's growing and it gives you some security where you can sleep at night and everything is not going to work and putting out another fire, and where you have people that work in your law firm who actually care about it and care about your mission and do the work. And to create this is difficult and it's time consuming, and it only comes about by doing certain things and making mistakes. Even without criticism, you're critical of yourself and you have doubt, and overcoming doubt is very challenging, and it causes people to quit and not try. And if you go do something, and I've done this many, many times, where I'm looking to do something significant, to make something better, so I try some marketing, or I try to streamline or improve the sales process to convert people into paying clients, and then do the work and do the work properly and at a high level for the clients, and keep up with the numbers and the metrics, and deal with the personalities and all the things that come, on the personnel side, the people, managing people. It's hard enough to do that and feel confident when you haven't done it. And confidence comes when you do something successfully. So if you take a case and you negotiate that case and you get a great result, or you take a case and you try the case and you get a not guilty verdict, and people tell you you did a good job, that gives you confidence. You're confident because you don't know until you go do something. And it's almost impossible, or it seems impossible, to be confident that you can do something that you haven't done. So if you have a law firm that's struggling, if your revenues either are very low because you just don't have clients and you just don't have a good practice, or if you're like I was, you plateau. And so you get to a decent level where you're making, a little $250,000 a year or something like that, but then nothing's changing. You're not growing. You don't know how to grow. You're not confident that you can grow because you haven't done it. So that's where, but you also have to learn and grow, but you have to do the right things. You can't just do the same things over and over, obviously. So you have to open up and learn and grow. So as you're doing that, and as I was doing that, I was filled with doubt, and that sort of thing is really maybe your biggest hindrance is belief. But it's hard to believe something that hasn't happened yet. It's easy to believe something once you're doing it successfully, and then that changes everything. You become a different person, you become more confident, and you can do it. So if you're trying to do this and you have enough doubt already built into you, and the people around you are critical. And all the voices in your head and all the real voices of people talking to you say you can't do it and you should quit, and that's not going to work. You have to do those two things in order to succeed, in order to get to the level that you want to move to get to the next level, to move up. Trust your work. You need to trust your work and keep your circle tight. And keeping your circle tight, I take it to mean, I think it's clear, that you keep out the naysayers. Babe Ruth is saying, don't let those people in your head. Keep your circle tight and trust your work. Now, back to Clemson. There's this chorus of criticism, and the team and the coaches for the team are saying, listen, we looked at the film. Their plays were there. We just didn't make them. We can correct it. Nobody believed it. I didn't believe it. I talked to my brother about it. I said, this is a mess. It's not fixed. It's not going anywhere. The next week, they have a home game against Appalachian State. And Appalachian State is not a, I think it's called a, it's not in one of the big conferences. It's a different team. But they're a team that's a tough team, and they've upset Michigan and stuff like that. So at that game, Clemson scores 35 points in the first quarter. Every time they got the ball, they took it down the field and scored a touchdown. So they scored 35 points in the first quarter. The reason it was because when they were coming back from Georgia and everybody was depressed, they were on the bus watching the game film, they see they could have played with Georgia, but they didn't make the right plays. And most of that was the quarterback. He didn't do what he's supposed to do. So no one believed in Clemson. Nobody believed in that football team. But they knew what they were about, and they trusted their work. And they went out and tried again after a big embarrassing failure. So trust your work. At the same time, though, make sure that your work is the right work. If you just work harder doing the same things, it's not going to change anything. So if you don't know how to create a law firm, if you don't know how to do effective marketing, you don't know how to do, a client conference with a potential client, and you don't know how to sell to the client. And that doesn't mean you're taking advantage of them. That doesn't mean you're scamming them. It means you're trading something of value. They need your work, and you need their fees. So that's a balance. If you don't know what your numbers are, you don't know where you are. You don't know what it creates confusion. In people, if you got bad people, it's a mess. You can't do anything with bad people. And most of the people that work for you are worse than you even realize. And until you get some A players and some people who can do great work, you haven't experienced that. The other thing is you have to, and I've talked about this on other podcasts, you have to, look at your brand, look at your ideal client persona, your avatar. Who are you trying to attract? Who are you trying to be? What is your area? What is your practice? What do you want it to be? What does your office look like? What do you look like? What does your marketing look like? So all of these things, if you don't know anything about any of that, it's not possible to trust your work because your work isn't right yet. So there's certain things you have to learn, and there are a lot of places you can learn that. Obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, you can learn it here. There are other podcasts. There are a lot of free webinars and things that you can sign up for. And if you pay attention and you're getting the right information, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's real valuable information and things that you can start to implement. Then that will start moving you forward. But the biggest thing is don't give up and keep trying new things. And if something doesn't work, pivot, discard it, take that as the lesson that's in it and start doing something else. Because, and I've said this before, if you go make 10 decisions and try 10 things, 2 or 3 of them are not going to work. You're going to lose money. You're going to lose time. You're going to fail at it. A few things will make things better, but maybe almost imperceptibly better. It's going to take longer than you thought. But then 1 or 2 things, maybe one thing, will make a big difference, and it will solve a big problem. And so you trust your work to go and find out what you need to do. It's trial and error. It doesn't matter what anybody tells you. It's going to be trial and error, because your situation, where you're located, your practice area, all the dynamics of you are never going to be exactly the same as for someone else. So for somebody like me to come in and say, well, we'll do these 5 things, this will work. It might work, it might not work. It depends on your situation, and everyone's situation is unique. So you know where your situation, what your situation is. You know that. So you have some idea, but you don't want to have just a knee-jerk response and say, well, that won't work. It might work. And sometimes ideas that don't seem that good actually turn out to be great, and you don't know until you try it. But trying the things and doing the right things ultimately comes down to trusting your work and not quitting, to keep going and doing your best and learning more and growing. The other thing I'd like to talk about here, and this has to do with keep your circle tight, is focus your energy on your vision and be careful about sharing it. And that may seem counterintuitive, but focus your energy on your vision. Now, in order to do that, first of all, you have to have a vision. You have to have something that's out there in the future where you see it. I want to have a law firm like this. I want to attract clients like this. I want to have a nice office that looks like this, even though you don't have it. And I want to have people working for me who are like this. So, and that may take some time. And if you don't have the vision and you don't have the goal and you don't have the purpose, you need to get that. And if your vision seems wild and ridiculous, that's okay. It probably should make you feel uncomfortable or make you think that I can never have that. If you think that you could never achieve it and that will never work, that's probably a good vision. Because if it's a dream that you're trying to do, that's probably the right dream. And when you do this, you think about, what do I like doing and who do I like working with? In other words, if I have this kind of practice, and say I do, you love criminal defense, but you're doing probate, you're writing wills, you're doing some car wrecks, maybe you're having to take on some family law type of cases, and you have to do that to pay the bills. It can be hard to think, well, I'm going to do criminal defense only, especially when you have this chorus of criticism saying that won't work, because that's what I heard my whole life. So once you have the vision that, no, I want to have a criminal defense only practice, or I want to have a felony practice, or I want to only handle sex crimes. A good friend of mine is a nationally renowned sex crime lawyer. That's all he does. He defends sex crimes all over the country. A lot of people don't like sex crimes, which I understand that. So that maybe that's not something you want to do. There are lawyers that we know that do DUIs exclusively. There are lawyers that only do, appellate work or only do post-conviction relief, habeas corpus type things. Or there are lawyers that only want to be in the summary court. They don't want the stress and everything that goes with defending a major felony. And then there are lawyers that don't want to go to summary court. They just want to go be felony trial lawyers. So that, when you look at that and you think, well, that will never work, I can never do that, picture it and think about it. But focus your energy on your vision and be careful about sharing it. And what I mean by that is sharing your vision is not the same as marketing. Talking about what you can do for people and talking about your successes and having people talk about how you help them, that's marketing. That's letting other people know what you do and how you can help them. But sitting around with your friends and family and people in your circle and sharing your vision is not the same as marketing. Your vision is your vision, and it's something that you believe in and you protect. And when you share it, and then other people tell you you're crazy or that won't work or who do you think you are, that doesn't help you. You share your vision with the wrong people, and you're just going to get a negative response. And you're surrounded, we all are, we're surrounded by non-belief. There are people who love you, and there are people who want you to fail, and there are people who are not just interested either way. So you also have to be careful about the people who love you, because when you share your vision with them, they think you're crazy. And so they think that's never going to work because you're trying to do something that is not possible because they don't believe it. They haven't done it. Why would they believe it? They can't do it. So they can't do it. So they don't believe you can do it. But if you believe you can do it, you can do it. You can't do it in a week or a month or maybe even in a year, but you can start moving toward it and doing the steps that take you closer. And then the other reality of it is there are people out there, I remember in law school, back then we actually had books and before exams and stuff like that, when we had to get certain books to do certain assignments or whatever, people would hide the books. People were so competitive in my law school that they would hide the books to try to get a competitive advantage. And there are lawyers out there who see this pie, this business is limited. They have limited beliefs. They believe there's limited number of cases. And if you get a case, that means they didn't get a case. And they see it as that we're all competing and they're scrapping for the same money in the same cases. And so they want to see you fail. They're out there and you know who they are. And so it's a mistake. I believe it's a mistake to spend time with them. I think it's a mistake to try to go network with them. I think it's a mistake to try to share what you're doing with them because they really just want to kind of pick it apart. And that's sad, but it's true. So don't spend time with people who will be happy if you fail. If somebody will celebrate, if you get sick or you have a financial crisis or you get a bar complaint, you don't want to be talking to those people. You don't want to be spending time with those people. You don't even want to pay attention to those people. If they ask you for help on something, I'm not saying that that it's wrong to help somebody or share some information. And if you're a big enough person to do that, then bless you, good. But you got to be aware of who people are. Now, the people that are disinterested, they're just disinterested. If you succeed, that's fine. If you don't succeed, that's fine. They're just not paying attention. And so they don't really matter. But the people who love you, who want to keep you safe and keep you from doing something crazy, from losing money, from taking chances, in some ways, they're more debilitating than the people who want to see you fail, because the people who want to see you fail are guarded and cagey, and you understand this. But the people who love you and you love them, you trust them, but the problem is they don't know what they're talking about. And so their efforts to help you actually hold you back. And so sharing your vision with them, I think, is a mistake. You just go do your silent work. You trust your work. You keep your circle tight. And you move forward. So look at your circle. Look at your circle. As I said, confidence comes from success, even small successes. Action and results create confidence, but that's personal to you. So look at your circle. Who is in it? People who love you, people who want you to fail. Don't share too much about your vision. And it seems counterintuitive. And there are people that could disagree with me. But when you share your vision, at least I believe, you're sharing like a vulnerability and you haven't accomplished it yet. Now, after you accomplish it, that's fine. You can share it. And after you accomplish it, and after you create this law firm that's growing and everything's humming, and then people start to notice, and the people that want to see you fail are jealous and mad about it, frustrated that you're succeeding. The people who love you are proud of you. But none of those groups had anything to do with it. I think it was when Deion Sanders was, if you don't know who Deion Sanders is, he was one of the greatest college football players and pro players of all time. And he became a coach. And when he went to Colorado and he was getting all this criticism, and he had this saying, you didn't make me, you can't break me. And what he's saying is that, and he would say, God made me, but he's saying, you didn't make me and you can't break me. And so he's resilient to that. And that's what that takes, is these people didn't make you. They can't break you. So avoid people who want you to fail. Be careful about sharing your vision, and keep your circle tight and trust your work. And the only thing I would add to that is, but make sure your work is the right work. If you're trying to grow a law firm, learn something that will work, and then trust your work and keep your circle tight. And you'll start moving into success and into the greatness that's in you and into the person that you want to be. And then you can start doing the things that you love to do about the law. You can do the things with the people that support you in your office and start moving into your greatness. It's something that you can do. The first part is believing in it, having a vision, then having an actionable plan with a high likelihood of success with some failures along the way. So trust your work, keep your circle tight. Thanks for listening. If you want to know more, go to prosperitlaw.com. We show criminal defense law firm owners how to reduce stress, have more free time, and make more money. Thanks for listening.